Morning. How's it going? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Morning, everybody. Hello, hello. Time to make our coffee. Hope you're all well. Happy Saturday. Oops. What's everyone doing today? Anything interesting? Always need a body double. Yeah, it's true. I always need a body double. Oops, not this one. We are running low on all the things. Hello. Is anyone doing anything fun after book club today? Anyone going anywhere? Doing anything? I'm working, of course. You know, like you do on an average Saturday. Hello, hello. I need this coffee, you know? Good morning. I need it. I do need it. Yes. That's one. Time for two. It's slug week here. That's nice. That sounds great. I would like a slug week. I could really use a slug week. Cold and rainy here today. I'll be trying to keep two children entertained with inside today. Oh no. Wait, no comedy club with coworkers tonight. Oh, that sounds fun. Do you know what kind of comedian is performing? Do we know? That sounds fun, different, interesting. That was weird. Very, very strange. Coffee for the husband, coffee for the Sasha. I know who he is, but I haven't heard him before, so I won't watch previews. That's fair. That's fair. What do we think's going on here? Just like stray, not in the braid hair piece. Hey, Mom. Thank you. I got this done for the baby shower because, you know, she's a girl. So and pink's my favorite color. I mean, like, you can have other colors for girls, of course. Like, I don't believe that you have to have pink only for girls, but pink's my favorite color, and she's my daughter. So, you know, that's why I did it. It's really more about me. The thing about babies is until they're old enough to have their own opinion, everything you dress them in is really for you. Let's be real about it, right? And it went with the dress. That's right. That's exactly right. So does she get to choose her own stuff eventually? Sure, but she can't talk yet. So right now, it's whatever I choose. Why did I do that? I didn't make enough milk. That was sad. Ollie still lets me pick his clothes. That's really cute. My niece Zoe is 4 and she picks her own clothes. She really likes setting out her own outfits and choosing her own look, which is great. We love it. We love that independence. She has her own style, and she even makes outfit of the day videos privately for our family. Like, we don't show her online, but she makes outfit of the day videos for Aunt Sasha and Grandma. My brother's family forces them into what they want. Yeah, that is sad. My sister's really great about it. She just lets Zoe pick whatever, you know. Sometimes she'll give her guidelines like, oh, today we're going somewhere really nice. It has to be something fancy, but she won't tell her which fancy thing. Like, okay, it's Christmas Day and we're going to Grandma's house, so like put something nice on, but like she can choose what that means, you know, as long as, and Zoe's actually really good about that. But like if they're going to the park or whatever, she'll even let her wear her Sally costume. She doesn't care. She's like, you want to be Sally at the park? Be Sally at the park. I don't care. Over the summer, when Secret Husband and I were babysitting the kids for a week, we took them to the aquarium. And we even told her, like, we're going to the aquarium today. Do you want to pick out an aquarium outfit? And she picked out an aquarium outfit for herself and for her brother, and they matched. Oh, yeah. I wouldn't care if he'd wear it to Target either. She dressed them for the aquarium in, like, what do you call it? Like almost Hawaiian prints. It was very cute. She was like, we're going to see the fishies. I was like, yeah, you can wear whatever you want. And she had them in these cute little like leafy floral things. I was like, you know what? You got style, kid. You got style. And of course, because her brother's only 1, he doesn't care. He doesn't know the difference. He's like, sure, whatever she wants. He's obsessed with her. He thinks she is the coolest thing that ever happened on this planet. His big sister is like just the bee's knees, you know? So if she wants him to wear it, he's like, fine. It was really cute though, because to see like a 1.5-year-old in a little collared Hawaiian shirt is like actually really cute. So she did good. I'll give her credit for that one. It is adorable, Amanda. I have a picture I should show you. If you remind me after this, I'll send it to you. It's very funny. Hey, Amanda. Oh my gosh, long time no see. How are your babies? Is everybody home and safe and good? Are we all healthy and moving towards healthy? I hope. I wonder if she can hear me. It might be delayed. Hey, Danielle. There's always a delay, but I just want to check in before I start reading and make sure that all of Amanda's kids are doing well on the up and up. The other funny thing was, because Zoe and Ethan, my niece and nephew, spend all day every day together because they're siblings who aren't in school yet, so like, I don't know, they're only just with each other, right? Zoe got to come to my baby shower, and I told my sister she could bring Ethan if she wanted, but she opted to, I put skincare in my slime. Why is it drying out? May I ask why you put skincare in your slime? Did someone tell you to do that? Certainly not me. I would never tell someone to put skincare in their slime. Who told you that? Because most skincare is not good for slime. It's also extremely expensive, and I wouldn't waste it on slime. Your friend told you? Then I would ask your friend why your slime is drying out, not me, honey, because I didn't tell you to do it. You know what I'm saying? You have to go to the source when you want to know why something's happening. You did bubble? I don't know what that means, sweetheart. I would talk to your friend who told you to do it. Yeah, and also be careful who you listen to. You know, because sometimes people just say things for no reason, and they might not be actual useful tips. Yeah. I'm going to the store at 12 o'clock to get glue. Nice. Nice. That's good. All right. Well, I'm not sure if Amanda could hear me, so I'm going to keep reading, and she can let us know if her kiddos are out of the hospital and all good as we go along. Hopefully they are out of the hospital and all good, but I don't know for sure. Welcome to Alexandra and Sloth, who just rolled in. Welcome. We have not started yet, so you did not miss anything. Oh, excuse me, I have the hiccups, which is not super helpful for reading time, but I love the clay recommendation you gave. Kids are going crazy to build things too. Yeah, well, you know what one of the fun thing is, Amanda, they can do, that a lot of slimers do, is they can make a little figurine out of the clay and then smush it into the slime. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. You know, you can make whatever, and then just, that's what DIY clay slimes are. You make something shaped out of the clay and then mix it into the slime. It's fun. It's cute. The original DIY clay slime that got that name was called Rainbow Bagel. It was made by Mina and my friends Brendan, who goes by Slime Jellies, and she made a clay bagel that looked like those rainbow bagels you can get at the place in New Jersey, and she sold it with the base slime, and you could smush your bagel into the slime and it would make a butter slime, and like that was the whole idea. And then like now, obviously, as you know, a lot of people make them all kinds of different ways, and they make all different configurations and things like that. I got a little bit burnt out on making them when I worked at Slumu, because I had to design a new one like every week. And so in my regular restocks, I don't, yeah, we did that at Slumu actually, Liz. We used to sell the bagels pre-cut and make cream cheese slimes, and we put them in cream cheese containers, and then you could spread it on and then put them as a thing and then smush it all together. So I'm a little bit burnt out on creating DIY clay slimes because I had to make so many when I worked at Slumu. So it's not that I don't know how to do them. Everyone always asks, how come you don't sell DIY clay slimes? I'm just like, my brain is tapped on ideas for DIY clay slimes, to be honest. My favorite one that I made while I was at Slumu was called Pocket Unicorn, and it was a little unicorn friend that came in a separate jar, and they all had different faces. So like there were holiday unicorns and regular unicorns, and it was supposed to look like it was a unicorn that could be your pet that would fit in your pocket. And then it came with a matching slime. So that was my favorite. Pocket Unicorn was my favorite little one. I am very pregnant. Why would that be rude? And also, how could you tell? Is it because you watched videos where I was talking about being pregnant? Or is it because you think my face looks pregnant? Because you clearly can't see my belly on this video. So either you watched videos and you already knew I was pregnant and you didn't need to ask, or you're just trying to be mean. One of the two. But it's not mean because I am very, very, very pregnant. Okay, well then it sounds like you might be a child, and that's okay. And if you are a kid, if you see someone posts videos that they're pregnant, you don't have to come on and say, not to be rude, are you pregnant? You already know the answer, right? My most recent video says I'm 33 weeks pregnant. So if you already saw that, you already know the answer. And if you are young enough to ask that question and your parents have let you on TikTok without supervision, you probably shouldn't be on people's lives asking those questions, okay? Because TikTok is a 13 plus area. And if you're 13 and you're still asking those questions, I have questions, you know? Secret baby won't be doing that, I can tell you that much. She will not be on TikTok before she's 13 without supervision. No. I had to tell you guys before we start reading, this past week I have heard so many stories about things that people are doing right now with their children that scare the muffins out of me, that I'm just like, I wish I could take all the kids and bring them to my house, because what are these people doing with their children? You know, like sometimes you hear things and I'm like, what is happening? What is actually happening here? Like, who is watching these kids? Nobody. Nobody's watching these kids. It's bad. It's bad, you guys. It is a terrifying world. Yeah. Yeah, it's a terrifying world. It's very strange. Very, very strange to me what people will do. Anyway, let's read this book that is not about children. Yes, I'm trying to relax, but it is a work day, unfortunately. Hey, sorry to interrupt. Will there be a Slam Live later? I don't know. I hope so. But yesterday I couldn't have a Slime Live because Secret Husband is injured, so I was caring for him yesterday, so I couldn't step away to go live. I was uncomfortable enough posting my jacket without, yeah, literally, Ray. I mean, like, Ray, you know my opinion on that. You know, I just have to take care of a Secret Husband. So as long as he's in a good enough state later that I can leave him unattended for a little while, I'll probably go live. But he did get injured, so I have been caring for him and working at the same time. And it's hard to go live. He's okay-ish. Yeah, he's sleeping right now. So if he naps while I do the live, that'll be okay. But we'll see. I'll do it later if I can. I will try. He's sleeping right now, which is why I'm able to do this. Okay, we are going to read chapter 27. My Christmas was great, Noah. How's your Hanukkah been? I know it's not over yet. Is it good? Yeah, I hope he gets better soon too, Charlie. I really freaking do. Poor guy. He's in a world of hurt, you know. Poor thing. He's hopped up on the queue. The meds. That's a joke from Dane Cook. If any of you are millennials, you might have heard the hopped up on the queue joke. Okay. Let's read chapter 27. On her third morning of bed rest, Rachel awoke feeling better. Let's hope that for Secret Husband too. The fatigue had lifted from her eyelids, the night sweats had stopped, and she could sit up in her bed and her chair without feeling like she was just going to straight up die. With her energy returning to suitable levels, she texted Mickey. Hey, do you have time to talk? I need your advice. Be there in 20, he said. Oh, thank you, Sloth. I appreciate that. The good news is he usually sleeps through this time. So, like, it doesn't matter because he's asleep right now. So, he doesn't need me while he's asleep, thankfully. 20 minutes later, as promised, Mickey arrived at her front door, and Martha reacted to the appearance of an unexpected visitor with all the finesse of the French armed forces. And you are? She sneered, blocking the entrance with her body. No, it's okay, Rachel said, jumping out of bed. I invited him over. Martha gave Rachel the side eye. Are you sure you're up for that? I'm fine, she said honestly. And Rachel pulled Mickey into her bedroom, shutting the door behind them. Okay, Mickey said, tossing a bag down on the ground. Who the heck is that? That, Rachel flopped down on her bed, is Miss Martha McBride, a.k.a. Martha Poppins, executive assistant to the stars. Mickey said, clearly confused. But what is she doing in your living room? Rachel filled Mickey in on all the juicy details. She described how Jacob had come over. He apologized. He'd given her a ticket to the Matzah ball. She described the way that she had dramatically said, described how Jacob had come over. He apologized. He'd given her a ticket to the Matzah ball. She described the way that she had dramatically said au revoir, thinking that they were well and truly done with each other before morning arrived, at which point Jacob had transformed from Grinch to Mensch, sending over a team of eager elves and impressing her with his interest in arts and crafts. Hold up just a second, Mickey said, stopping the story halfway through. He sent you Martha, a private chef, a cleaning crew, humored your obsessive need for privacy by making someone sign NDA agreements. Yes, Rachel admitted, he did do all of those things, and then when all of that didn't work, Mickey shook his head, he bedazzled a wheelchair for you? He did. And we're still mad at him because he almost killed me. Okay, well, technically, Mickey said, placing one finger at the center of his chin, all he really did was put you in a costume. The small children were actually the ones who almost offed you. I don't know what to do. What do you mean? He said, flabbergasted. You call him up, tell him to bring the damn bedazzled wheelchair back here, and then you go out with that man. No, absolutely not. Why? Because this is obviously just another one of his pranks, Rachel said. I can see it now. Us at the top of the Empire State Building, me in the bedazzled wheelchair thinking this is all wonderful and romantic and a start to our new beginning, and then bam, he's going to push me off the ledge. Mickey cocked his head sideways. Okay, you have an amazing imagination. You know that? He cannot be trusted, Mickey. He's evil. Mickey rubbed at his temples. Have you ever, thought that maybe this guy actually just likes you? Rachel scoffed. Oh, come on now. No, look, I'm serious. He put me in a matzo ball costume. So yeah, he's an idiot, Mickey said. We've already known that since 7th grade. He's always been an idiot. Mickey. Rachel spun around, catching sight of herself in the mirror above the dresser. She looked all types of mess. Jacob Greenberg throws parties for a living. He's fabulous and gorgeous and rich, and he could have his choice of beautiful and healthy French women. So that's what this is about? I didn't make it 2 days, Mickey. I couldn't even volunteer for one of his events for 2 days before completely collapsing. What kind of man is going to want a woman who spends half of her life in bed? Mickey shook his head. Why do you always do that? What? Constantly put yourself down. Constantly act like you don't have the same value as other people. Because it's the truth? No. He shot back at her, clapping 3 times in her face to make sure she was paying attention. It's not, Rachel. You're brilliant. You're quirky and weird and fun, and you're one of the most loyal and loving people I've ever met. And even if you never sold another book in your life, even if you spend the rest of your days in bed watching Christmas movies, you'd still be all those cool things. Being sick doesn't cancel out all the other amazing stuff about you, okay? You're not invalid. Rachel swallowed hard. She knew Mickey was right, and she had been self-sabotaging rather fantastically for years when it came to love. It wasn't that she couldn't imagine any man loving her enough to throw his lot in beside her. It was just that chronic illness removed all her costumes. It brought her to the darkest places and boiled her down to the most essential self. Some days she didn't even want to spend time with that person. Loving someone required you to share vulnerabilities. It's a set of skills she never developed. How do you do it? Rachel asked softly. What? Be so brave about everything. Oh, you know, Mickey said after a few thoughtful seconds. When my moms first got together, not everybody was happy about it. Dumbass Uncle Joe especially had to make a whole thing about it with my grandma Cindy. And for a really long time on both sides of the family, it seemed like people would never support them. My mother's, you know what they did in the wake of that backlash over their love? When everyone was trying to tear them apart? They said, screw them. Rachel laughed. Screw them? Yeah, Mickey shrugged. That's what they told me right before I came out at my bar mitzvah. My mom told me straight in the eye. She said, Mikhail, the world is filled with angry and miserable people. Those people are never going to be happy for you. So you go out there and you live your truth. And anyone who doesn't celebrate you for it, anyone who doesn't love you through it, you screw them. Because we love you just the way you are. Your moms really are the best. Yeah, I know, Mickey said, leaning across the bedspread to meet her eyes with firm resolution. And now, I'm passing that advice on to you. You're a good person, Rachel. You think about everyone all the time, but you gotta learn to say screw them sometimes. Someone says your disease isn't real? All right, screw them. Someone says you're a bad Jew and a disappointment to the Goldblatt family name?
Screw them. Someone hates your Christmas romance novels or your Hanukkah novel or your robot octopus whatever thing. Wait, what? Just something I've been reading lately, Mickey explained, waving her question away. The point is, screw him. For God's sakes, Rachel, you're nearly 30 years old. It's time to live your damn life already. Rachel smiled. It was just like Mickey to bring her out of her daze. And then it struck her how similar Jacob and Mikey really were. They both walked through the world unapologetic about their existence. They both gave very little power to what other people thought about them. And maybe Rachel could take a hint and finally learn to do the same. I love you, she said. Yeah, I love you too. Rachel sucked back a tiny tear before quickly changing the topic. There were more pressing romantic issues to discuss, after all. Okay, but enough about me. I want to hear how everything is going with your acrobat. Mickey frowned. I'm afraid my brief and torrid love affair with Stefan ended. Oh no, Rachel gasped. What happened? I wish I could tell you it went out in a bedazzled wheelchair of glory. Ha ha. Alas, it wasn't anything even remotely that exciting. We just realized we weren't right for each other. I mean, he's always in the air, spinning around on hoops and things, and I am firmly on the ground without a doubt. Plus, you know how much I love Hala? Stefan's been paleo for years. 3 years. Rachel shook her head. That bastard. Yeah, we're gonna stay friends. Breaking it off was the right call, though. She reached across her bed and squeezed her best friend's hand, and though Mickey would never say it aloud, she knew that he was disappointed. Like Rachel, he had been through his fair share of romantic breakups. Often living and dating in Manhattan felt like an exercise in futility. Still, anyone would be lucky to have him. Oh, you'll find the right one, Mickey. Maybe, he said. I know it. You deserve all the happiness in the world. Rachel hugged him. Breathing him in, she felt safe. She could trust Mickey with anything. So our promise to grow old together is officially back on then, she said. He wiped away a tear. Girl, I've already started looking at properties in the Hamptons for us. They were both laughing when a knock on the door interrupted this bittersweet moment, and Martha stuck her head in. Excuse me, may I interrupt you? She asked. Yeah, of course, Rachel said. A package has just arrived for you. Oh, great. Rachel turned to Mickey to explain. It's probably the contract from my publisher, actually. They're supposed to be sending that over. That is such good news, Mickey said. Yeah, I know, Rachel said before turning back to Martha. You can just bring it into my bedroom. Oh, no, I do not think it is a contract, dear. Rachel glanced askew at Mickey, and moments later Martha reappeared holding a large box in both hands. Wrapped in silver paper and tied up in the most elegant blue bow, it was easily the most beautiful Hanukkah present that Rachel had ever seen. Mr. Greenberg sent this over, Martha said, laying the present down on the bed between them. You're kidding me, Rachel said. No, not in the least, Martha said before departing once again. The gift sat untouched between them for several moments, and finally Mickey tapped her on the shoulder. All right, we'll go on, he squealed. Open it. You know how much I love presents from Sarkamp arch enemies. Rachel took a deep breath, pulling the box into her lap. It was heavier than she expected. She couldn't help but wonder what sort of gift could be lurking inside. But with trembling fingers, she tugged at the ribbon and the wrapping, and then she gasped. Inside was the most beautiful blue and silver ball gown she had ever seen. He didn't, Rachel said aloud. Oh, he most certainly did, Mickey said. She pulled the dress out and held it up to her body. The gown was stunning. Strapless, with a built-in corset, flaring like a mermaid at the bottom, it would highlight all her best features, her thick hips, her ample bosom that she inherited from her grandmother, her waist disproportionate to the rest of her curves. A card fell out from beneath the fold. Bending down to pick it up, Rachel read the words before understanding their full meaning. Hey, look, I'm sorry for not being more sensitive to your needs. If you feel up to it, please consider being my date for the Matzah ball. I'd love to see you there. What does it say? Mickey asked. He wants me to be his date for the Matzah ball. Rachel's face flushed with anxiety. She couldn't deny Jacob's gift, thoughtful and generous, were raising all sorts of questions inside of her. There's something on the back of the card, too, Mickey said, and Rachel turned it over to find a postscript scribbled in tiny blue letters. P.S. Please don't stand me up this time. Stand him up? Rachel put the card down. What's he talking about? Mickey shrugged. He's probably got me confused with some other girl. And yet, the dress she was holding in her hands, seemed it was made just for her. In spite of all her lies, Jacob had seen her completely. He'd found her best parts and dressed them up in soft sweeps of silk and satin. She could almost imagine herself at the matzo ball dancing with Jacob, the way that the silver and the blue sequins would shimmer and shine beneath the lights. She was so used to hiding, being invisible, but this dress, it was designed to make Rachel visible. How could Jacob know that she was indeed dying to be seen? You know, Rachel said, collapsing back onto her bed. He said something strange when he came to my door the other night. He said I broke his heart. Mickey squinted. I don't understand that. Yeah, to tell you the truth, she mused softly, I didn't either. But he kept going on and on about it, how he really needed me and I wasn't there for him and how badly I hurt him. And well, it just didn't sound like someone who had turned my first kiss into a giant prank for all the boys in bunk 7B. Did you know his mom was sick? No. MS. Oh, wow. Mickey started to chew on his fingers. Do you think that's why they moved back to France? I don't know, Rachel said. Maybe. I remember hearing that his parents got divorced. Yeah, I remember hearing that too. I was kind of glad when he didn't come back the next summer. Yeah, Mickey said quietly. Me too. I was pissed that he gave you mono. He didn't give me mono. Mickey stopped. What? Rachel sighed. Leah Abram. You kissed Leah Abram? No, she said. The girls were always drinking out of my water bottle and I told her 1,000 times to stop, but she never listened to me. She got mono that summer too. Oh, crap. I just blamed it on Jacob, she said. I don't know why. I guess it just gave me more reason to hate him, and plus you hated him too and it was fun for us to hate him together. Mickey bit at his lower lip. Yeah, about that. Truthfully, Mickey, I really liked Jacob Greenberg and I thought we had something real and I couldn't bear the thought of seeing him again. The very next morning, I called my parents from camp crying my eyes out, begging them to come take me home. And you know what my parents are like, hearing me blubbering like an idiot on the phone. They drove up same day and took me home. I just wanted to forget about him. I guess I just wanted everyone at Camp Ahava to forget about him too. Rachel? Mickey went back to chewing on his fingers. I have something to confess then too. Okay. I was kind of I was kind of jealous of you and Jacob. Jealous? Please don't hate me, Mickey said quietly. I was 12. I'll be the first to admit that I didn't handle it great, but you were my best friend, Rachel, and it had been you and me since 3rd grade. And then one day Jacob Greenberg shows up to camp and suddenly you weren't even my best friend anymore. What are you trying to say, Mickey? I might have exaggerated what actually happened in our bunk that summer. Exaggerated how? Look, Mickey said, Jacob Greenberg was a giant jerk and a total prankster. Everybody at Camp Ahava would agree to that. And he did talk about you, Rachel, all the time. Honestly, it was so annoyingly obvious that you two had something going on. But as far as I know, he never actually admitted that you had something going on to, like, anybody. I don't understand, Rachel said. If Jacob didn't set me up, how did people know that we were going to be at the lake together the evening of our first kiss? I mean, all the boys from bunk 7B were hiding in the bushes with flashlights and cameras. Mickey cowered inside his palms. You told me and I told everyone else. What? I was mad at you, Rachel. You were my best friend and you ditched me completely. I never meant to hurt you, though I know it sounds horrible. I just really wanted my best friend back. Do you hate me? Of course I don't hate you. You promise? She took his hand. I could never hate you. I just don't understand why you didn't tell me this sooner. Mickey sighed. I didn't know. You were sick with mono, crying all the time. I hated myself because of that. And then months passed, and the years passed, and then Jacob Greenberg never came back to Camp Ahava. He never even came back to New York City. You moved on. There was no reason to talk about it. He was gone. Au revoir. Off to France. Honestly, I'd forgotten about everything until you mentioned he was coming to Shabbat dinner. Wow. Yeah. She shook her head. So all these years, I've hated Jacob Greenberg and blamed him for turning my first kiss into a giant summer camp prank and believed that he never even cared about me, but none of that was even true? No. Well, Rachel stood and put the gown back in the box. I do appreciate you telling me the truth after all the years, but it still doesn't change the fact that he put me in the giant matzo ball costume. So what are you going to do? Well, I'm going to send the dress back. Rachel, Mickey stopped her. I love you to death, so listen to me when I tell you this. Please reconsider. She laughed. Oh, reconsider? Let me finish, he said. I'm not 12 years old anymore. I want you to be happy. I want you to find your person. You deserve that. Mickey, if you want to hate Jacob for the costume, fine. I get it. But the man has apologized profusely. He sent you Martha, bedazzled a wheelchair, bought you the most beautiful ball gown I've ever seen in an effort to make it up to you. All I'm saying is, before you give up on being Matzah Board's story at Camp Ahava's newsletter, consider the possibility that we both might have been wrong here about Jacob Greenberg. Maybe he's actually a decent guy. Rachel huffed. Okay, I'll think about it. Good, Mickey said, embracing her, because I love you more than anything in the world, and I'm fully ready to completely give you away. Later that night, after Mickey had departed and Rachel rested some more, she awoke from a deep slumber to find her apartment was empty. Sitting up in bed, she listened for Martha shuffling about in the living room. The house was quiet. Martha Poppins opened her umbrella and had flown away for the evening. She was feeling better, but still unsettled. Mickey's revelation had left her confused as ever. Even if Jacob was the kindest, most honorable man, how could she be honest with him? Knowing that there was one thing in the world that would help, she escaped to her office. 237 smiling porcelain Santas greeted her arrival. She breathed in the smell of pine cones and cinnamon, and before her eyes landed on a photograph of her with Santa, she picked it up and drew the image closer. So where is it? She asked the Santa in the quiet of her Christmas office. Where's my happy ending? Rachel put the photo back. After all, it wasn't Santa's fault that she was the sick chick, a Christmas romance novelist, and a dreadful liar. Her fictions piled up on top of each other like snowflakes during a winter storm, creating blizzard conditions. Her parents did not know about her career. Her colleagues did not know about her health. Jacob Greenberg didn't know about any of it. Her reindeer games had managed to isolate her from everyone except for Mickey. Rachel needed to take her mind off her quickly devolving life, so after pulling out her phone, she opened up the Hallmark app and returned to her movie, The Christmas Prince and the Pianist. It was right after her favorite part, the moment where the two characters realized, in spite of their differences, in spite of their misunderstandings, they would actually like each other. They may actually just be perfect for one another. Their opposite natures, when combined, made them a more perfect whole. She couldn't help thinking about Jacob. Leaving her Christmas movie, she made her way back to the bedroom, and standing on tiptoe, she pulled down the flowered box that held the hodgepodge of photographs, trinkets, and letters from her childhood. Pushing past the photographs, she found a stack of letters held together by a rubber band, and she pulled one out and opened it up. Dear Rachel, how are you? I'm fine. Why are you not answering my phone calls? I miss you. My mom says we're moving to France. Please come say goodbye. Love, Jacob. P.S. I almost put shaving cream in this letter, but I decided not to. Just kidding. Hope you like the joke. She lifted the letter to her nose. Yeah, it smelled like shaving cream. What was she doing? And what was he doing to her? She shook her head, annoyed with herself, but Rachel knew what this was. She'd written about it 1,000 times in her romance novels. There were some people in this world who seemed destined to wrap themselves up in your story. She put that letter down. It was funny how stories could change. Not just the ones you told yourself, but the ones told about other people. Rachel didn't need to volunteer for the Matzah ball anymore. She had her Hanukkah romance. She had her book deal. She could easily avoid Jacob for the rest of her natural life. But there was something about him, some feeling lurking there, kind of like the smell of shaving cream. She thought back to their shared Shabbat. Jacob hadn't blinked when she mentioned watching a Christmas movie. He didn't care that she was chronically ill. He wore ugly Hanukkah sweaters and commanded every room that he walked into with confidence and swagger. He bedazzled a gosh darn wheelchair for her. It was like this man had no frontal lobe controlling his impulses. Like his mother hadn't stood in the door before Shabbat reminding him to be on his best behavior because everyone was watching. Jacob didn't give a damn about what other people thought. He was someone who easily and readily said screw him, and she needed a little bit of that chutzpah in her life. But she wasn't ready to say goodbye. Gently placing the letter back inside the box, she made a firm and final decision. She was going back to help with the matzah ball. 9th email. Rachel Rubenstein Goldblatt to Lisa Brown, Saturday, December 18th. Contract coming. Lisa, got the contract from the courier earlier yesterday evening. Sorry for not letting you know sooner. It's just things are super busy for me right now, but I will look over it ASAP and send it back as soon as it's signed. Thank you so much for everything. Rachel. Chapter 28. It was all hands on deck inside the Four Seasons. Jacob paced, one hand anxiously pressing through his hair, the other tapping off items on the tablet as they arrived. Tonight would be lighting the candle 6 of Hanukkah. And if everything went according to plan, and indeed everything did need to go according to plan, the matzo ball would finally start coming together at this point. The tables would be set up, the decorations with the smart blue coverings and the expensive silver and gold centerpieces. The concrete columns and the marble walls would be made unrecognizable, covered with expensive silk drapes and thousands of fairy lights. The stage would be set, ready to accommodate the most famous Jewish musicians and artists. Jacob had a vision, an idea as wild and imaginative as any event he'd ever held. He just needed to make sure that it all came together. 4,000 pieces of chocolate gelt, a volunteer said, appearing at his side, and Jacob looked up from his tablet. Yep, just put them over there with the rest. The volunteer just nodded. Jacob tapped off the item on the screen and then got to his earpiece to Maddie. Hey, how are we doing with those potatoes? Fine, Maddie said, speaking into his ear. I'm unloading them now. Careful! Jacob felt momentary relief until his eyes landed on the 10-foot menorah. In the process of still being set up in the middle of the ballroom, it was a disaster. Despite finally finding the instructions and almost everyone on his staff taking a stab at it, no one could get the damn thing up and working again. Twisted branches, broken shamish, they were all piled in the corner of the room. The acrylic base, so thoughtfully designed to give the appearance of floating candles, now stood abandoned on the stage. 3 branches of silver jutted out wayward from the top, and Jacob was reminded of a pitchfork, a tool of the devil, staring down at his matzo ball like a harbinger of doom. He shook the thought away. They still had plenty of time to figure it out. 2 days was more than enough time to set up a ballroom and fix a menorah. Hey, watch out! A volunteer screamed from the center of the room. Incoming! One of the branches his team was working on collapsed in a pile of metal on the floor, and Jacob bit back a grimace. Sorry, the young man said. No problem, Jacob said. Let's just keep working on it, okay? Jacob never let his team see him get flustered. He wished that Shmuel was there. It would be helpful to have his colleague to rely on, but it was Shabbat, and Shmuel was observant. He wouldn't be returning to the matzo ball until after sundown. Jacob had swung around to check on his alcohol delivery when his eyes caught sight of a most unexpected presence. Rachel was standing by the door, wearing a form-fitting pair of jeans paired with a smart blue jacket and a plaid scarf. She looked adorable, like a winter fantasy, and his heart melted at the sight of it. Jacob forgot all about his to-do list. Hey! He went over to greet her. You're here. Yeah, I am. And Jacob hesitated. He didn't want to make the decision for her or her body, but he cared about her, and Rachel had a terrible tendency to put herself last. He wanted to be absolutely sure that she was not pushing herself because she thought she owed him something. So you're feeling better? He asked cautiously. Yes, she said. Martha's been incredibly helpful. I never realized how much effort it took just to salt my own food. Jacob laughed. She can be a little over the top sometimes. You think? Rachel said. But seriously, Jacob, she gave me 3 days to just rest and completely focus on my health, which I don't think has ever happened in my life, so thank you. It probably would have taken me a whole lot longer to recoup without her. Good, Jacob said. I'm glad she was helpful. He stopped himself there. He really wanted to say, you deserve it. You deserve to feel good, Rachel. You deserve to be pleasured. And he wanted to take care of her. And he wanted to send people to do her laundry and buy her ball gowns for the rest of her natural life. But he also didn't want to freak her out. Thankfully, her attitude had shifted. And this was a woman who had talked about brokenness over Shabbat. She was warm and genuine with just a tiny drop of that quirky humor. He adored the way that the red rose in her cheeks when she was blushing. He wanted to bring that red to her cheeks in other ways. So with all of that out of the way, Rachel said, getting down to business, I'm here for a reason. Oh? Jacob dug his hands into his pockets. Lay it on me, I guess. Well, first off, she said, I don't want your pity. No, I don't pity. Can you just let me talk? She cut him off. I realize that you're used to being in charge, but from this point on, I really just need you to be quiet and listen. The truth is, I don't trust you, Jacob. I want to trust you, and I want to be wrong about you, but there's a lot of crap in our backstory, and I can't make sense of it all. Rachel, let me finish, Jacob, she said defiantly. He shut up. I'm here because we had a deal, she said firmly. I promised to volunteer for the matzo ball in exchange for a ticket, and I keep my promises. Even though I'm sick and sometimes I have to bail on things last minute, I'm not flaky. Jacob swallowed the instinct to correct her. Did she really not remember abandoning him on the dance floor of Camp Ahava's final dance? He reminded himself of his grandmother's sage advice over the rugulash and tea. The trick is to know what's in the present and what's in the past. He wasn't going to he wasn't going to let history impinge on his happiness anymore. Now, Rachel continued, I might be sick and I might not be able to do everything all the time, but I am very capable of doing a lot more than most people, at least 50% of the time. And if you can deal with those stats, here are my conditions. First off, no more costumes. Oh, there definitely won't be. Stop talking, Jacob! He shut up again. Secondly, she took a deep breath, I expect you to accommodate my disability over the next 2 days, and I expect you to allow me the time to rest and recoup and pace myself, and I want a chair. I have a chair with your name on it. He pointed to his bedazzled wheelchair resting unused in the corner of the room. Jacob, Rachel said, I'm still talking. Sorry. Finally, she said, you need to call off Martha Poppins. She's been helpful and I'm appreciative, but it's a bit too much. I need my privacy and I need my space. Plus, the woman has started color coding my underwear, and I cannot emotionally deal with a person color coding my underwear. He wanted to get this right this time, so he waited a moment. Are you finished? Yes. He nodded. Then, yeah, no, I fully agree to your terms. Well, good. Rachel sucked in a huge breath of air. Where do you want me to begin then? Jacob led her along the table covered in boxes. Before he had been doling out instructions, he pulled a chair out for her and she sat down. So, most of our suppliers are arriving today, he explained, grabbing a tablet. Other volunteers will deal with unloading and organizing, but I could use someone to oversee them, especially with Shmuel off for Shabbat. Basically, what you need to do is sit here and check that everything has been ordered and paid for and delivered to our satisfaction. Okay, I can handle that, she said, taking the tablet. Good, then I only have one more question. She eyed him suspiciously. What's your question? You never told me your answer. He knelt down on one knee, and it felt right, bending down before her, his heart thumping wildly in his chest. Will you be my date for the matzo ball? I don't know, she said. His heart sank. But maybe if you can refrain from acting like a total schmuck for the next 2 days, I'll be willing to save you a dance. Jacob beamed. Her upper lip ticked into a tiny smile. The pair had formed a truce. Rachel enjoyed her task for the day. It was so different from writing. She loved the chance to use her left brain, organizing and establishing systems, overseeing a staff. Plus, she was sitting down. Periodically, she would catch a glimpse of Jacob sprinting through the main ballroom. Sometimes, he would look over at her. Their eyes would meet. One of them would smile, but mainly he was so focused on whatever task was at hand that he didn't have time to spend conversing with Rachel. It reminded her of her father before the High Holy Days. The way that her Abba would move from shul to office to home, checking on the final details, making sure everything was in order. It was hard to meet the needs of a congregation that boasted over 1,000 families, and she imagined that organizing a matzo ball had similar stresses. It seemed impossible that this was the same man who put her in the matzo ball costume, but Jacob did have layers. He was childish at times, playful with an almost boyish charm and innocent energy. In a stark juxtaposition to that, there was the man, the CEO of Greenberg Entertainment, and he was seriously responsible, like a total leader. She found the combination irresistible. He was the type of person that you could stand around the stove with on Hanukkah, burning latkes together and laughing hysterically, but you could also rely on to clean up the dishes when you were done. Me too, Liz. Me too. She wanted that in a marriage. It also didn't hurt that she was wildly attracted to him. Her eyes kept wandering over and falling on the man. She loved the way his arms looked, sleeves rolled up, muscles flexing. She adored the prominence of his nose. Rachel could never resist a good nose. This is the last load, a volunteer said, arriving with a dolly filled with boxes. Rachel snapped back to reality. Oh, those are the dreidels? Yeah, the volunteer said. 3 boxes in total. Rachel pointed with her pen towards a back wall. Okay, just put them over there. The volunteer obeyed and quickly marched on to the next task. Rachel jumped up from her seat and made her way over to the boxes. Grabbing a utility knife she wore on her belt like a pistol, she cut the boxes open. She wondered what high-end design these dreidels would hold. Wading her fingers through the crumpled up paper and packing and bubble wrap, she pulled one out. This was not what she was expecting. The 3-inch tall dreidel was plastic, bright blue, and frankly, it smelled a little bit like cheese. Rachel put the dreidel down and checked the order slip against the clipboard. No, these were the right dreidels. She shrugged away any concern. She finished unloading the dreidels and glanced down at her watch. It was getting late in the afternoon. The main room grew quiet as the majority of the staff finished their last tasks and took off for the night. She thought about bailing with them, but didn't want to leave without saying goodbye to Jacob. Rachel scanned the room, searching for him. In the process, she found herself secretly judging the aesthetic design of the matzo ball. The small centerpieces decorating the tables were just kind of meh. The chocolate gelt, which looked like it had been purchased in bulk from discount Judica, was frankly unimpressive. The dreidels were one step up from a choking hazard handed out during Hanukkah Hebrew school parties, and plus the well-meaning volunteers attempting to put together a 10-foot floating menorah in the center of the room had truly no idea what they were doing. This was not the high-end party that Rachel had expected from a mastermind behind such events as Lunchella and Sunburn. But what did Rachel know about party planning? She was a Christmas romance novelist after all. She returned to her task as Jacob directed, and she left her dreidel and judgment behind. She enjoyed being helpful. She enjoyed being part of the real world and having a job where she could interact with other people. It was a privilege to leave your house and your bed. Rachel would never take that for granted. With evening now firmly settled in New York City, the ballroom, which had been a hotbed of activity for hours, quieted completely. Rachel found herself alone. Standing up, she left her tablet and tasks behind, searching for Jacob. Hey, good morning. Your coffee's right over there if you want it. She found him, along with Shmuel, in the kitchen. Their voices were raised, the high tones pitched and nervous, and she knew something was wrong as she approached. We can fix this, Jacob, Shmuel was saying, pulling out his cell phone. Just let me call. No, Jacob barked. It's too late. We're going to need to cancel. Are you out of your mind? Shmuel shot back. Morty will have our heads. Yeah, he's going to have our heads anyway, Jacob said. At least this way we can avoid becoming a story in the New York Daily News. Rachel hesitated. Through a crack in the swinging door, she could make out Shmuel pacing back and forth, but it was Jacob that really shocked her. His head was in his hands, his legs splayed out open. He was full on losing his merde. On instinct, she touched her heart. She was surprised by his outpouring of emotion, totally caught off guard by the sight of him freaking out. Jacob was usually the epitome of cool as a cucumber, dimples and charms, and she was certain he could make steel melt by just walking in a room. She didn't like seeing him upset. Rachel pushed open the swinging door. Hey, is everything okay in here? She asked. Rachel, Shmuel said, waving her over. Tell him it's not that bad. Not that bad, Jacob returned to life. The centerpieces are made of tinsel. The dreidels are plastic. The gelt looks like something handed out at Hebrew school 20 years ago. Hey, that's what they had available, Shmuel argued. You told me to order the best, and well, this was the best of the best. What do you want from me, huh? I'm a party planner, okay? Not a manufacturer. You want nice dreidels, you go buy a factory and you make nice dreidels. You should have warned me. Like, I don't know, given me a heads up. I'm supposed to know you'd be unhappy with plastic dreidels? Jacob turned bright red. Yes. Rachel bit her lower lip. Shmuel did have a point, and then again, so did Jacob. We still have the food, Shmuel said, attempting to dissuade Jacob from canceling. All Jews really care about is the food anyway. Once they're eaten, they won't even notice the crappy decor. Potato latkes and boring old jelly donuts. Jacob pushed a pink box of souvenir towards Shmuel. Something you could get at any Hanukkah party? Does this seem high-end to you, Shmuel? Does this seem like something people would pay a premium for and post about on social media? All right, well, what about the menorah? Shmuel defended. The menorah? Jacob scoffed. Have you seen the 10-foot floating menorah that we had specifically designed and crafted for this event? The menorah is scrap metal, lying in a pile of... The menorah can be fixed, Rachel interjected. What? Both men said at the same time. I took a peek at it during lunch, she explained calmly. There's a few bent branches, and you're going to need a replacement holder, but 2 hours and a trip to the hardware store, and honestly, you should be fine. Jacob stammered. You know how to do that? Well, because, she said, since he was obviously an idiot, every synagogue in America has a giant menorah on the grass for Hanukkah. Yours is just bigger and a little fancy acrylic base, but it's basically the same design. It's not that complicated to put it together, especially if you've done it a zillion times since you were a baby. Menorahs are easy. Sukkahs, those are complicated. Jacob's eyes drifted over to Shmuel. Well, that takes care of the menorah. Yeah, but once the menorah is fixed, Shmuel shot back, the rest will fall into place. Honestly, Jacob, it's not that bad. The dreidels, the centerpieces, the food, with the lights and the menorah, no one is even going to notice how cheap and terrible everything really is. Jacob directed his gaze at Rachel. Okay, and what do you think? Rachel hesitated. Do you want my honest opinion? Always. I've been to classier bar mitzvahs, she admitted. At the shul. See, oh God! Jacob collapsed into his head in his hands. I'm gonna be the next Billy McFarland. Jacob refused to descend into panic alongside Jacob. She was a survivor, after all. She knew all about problems. Everything she had learned from chronic illness and publisher ultimatums was that suris needed to be dealt with head on. Rachel thought back to the main ballroom. It wasn't their decor that was bad, per se. Shmuel had done his job, seeking out the best of what was available, but the party would have all the traditional accoutrements of Hanukkah. Latkes, the tiny dreidels, the kosher food. Everything had been technically done right. The problem was that their final vision was so traditional. It had all been done the same exact way 10,000 times before, and none of the ruche or spirit of her beloved Christmas romances would hear. It didn't feel like magic. And this was exactly what the Matzah Ball Max needed. Spirit, vision. It needed someone who was capable of thinking outside of the Hanukkah box. You know, I might be able to help you, Rachel said. All right, how? Jacob said, looking up at her. You got $10 million lying around that I don't know about? Okay, not quite, Rachel said, but we don't need that. Both men perked up, curious. Rachel took a deep breath, gathering her courage. You've technically done everything right, she said thoughtfully. You've checked all the boxes, but you forgot the magic. What we need to do is infuse the party with passion, with magic, and a little bit of love.
Love? Shmuel scoffed. Jews don't do love.
Why not? Rachel snapped back. Why can't Hanukkah be just as magical as
Christmas?
Jacob interjected. Yeah, Rachel said carefully. Except that Hanukkah isn't Christmas, is it? A silence fell over the room. They were all thinking about that question. I mean, look, Rachel said, I get that it's a minor holiday and no one cares about it and all that, but it doesn't mean that it can't offer something special. And isn't that the point anyway? We're not the norm. We're not typical. We're Jews. So let's put Judaism on fleek. Let's celebrate the most outrageous and fabulous way possible. Let's make ourselves different for once. There was a metaphor in there somewhere, of course. Rachel was certain of that. And for the first time since being asked to write a Hanukkah romance novel, she could actually see herself in the pages.
Okay, Jacob said, rubbing his forehead. And let's just say, purely for hypothetical purposes, that any of this were actually possible. How will we manage to change everything now? We're completely out of money. And in 48 hours,
Shmuel interjected. Well, she said, picking up a potato, maybe we don't need to change everything. Maybe we just use what we have and find the magic in it. Jacob could see her considering it and thinking it over.
And if you're wrong?
Jacob asked. Okay, then I'm wrong. She shrugged, tossing a potato in Jacob's direction. At this point, what do you have to lose? Jacob could feel his heart pounding, and Rachel stood before him, fierce and ferocious, awaiting his answer. His first instinct was to refuse, handle things like he'd always done, alone. But this was the present, and in this present, Jacob desperately did need help.
Okay, Jacob said, we're gonna try it your way. Baruch Hashem, Shmuel sighed,
and Rachel took a deep breath. Great, she said, turning toward the door. Then I'm off. Wait, Jacob called out to her, completely confused. Where are you going? Oh, she said, returning to explain. To make some phone calls. Actually, a lot of phone calls. Jacob looked at Shmuel before glancing back at Rachel. Well, do you need our help? No. She turned again to leave, and then she stopped. Actually, she said, squinting in his direction, could you run down to Starbucks and grab me some coffee? Yeah. He shrugged. No problem. The biggest one they have. Okay, got it. Actually, 2, plus a sugar-free Red Bull, and if maybe you want to pick me up something for dinner, like maybe a falafel, I don't know, that would be great. French fries inside the falafel, very important on that one. He pulled out his phone, tapping her order like a secretary. Falafel, French fries inside, okay. Anything else? Yeah, she grinned, playfully squeezing his arm. After you buy me dinner, go home and get some sleep, because honestly, you're going to need it for tomorrow. And with that, she was off. He watched her disappear out the door and turned to Shmuel. What just happened? Jacob asked.
That, Shmuel said, wagging a finger at the sky, is what we in the Jewish world call a miracle.
Jacob moved to get his coat.
Very funny, Shmuel. No, like 2 swords, Shmuel mumbled, teasing him. Each blade sharpening each other.
I heard you, Jacob said, waving him off. Thank you. And Jacob emerged onto the street to find another snowy evening in Manhattan. Outside the Four Seasons, taxicabs flew by in a frenzy.
Delivery trucks unloaded boxes while eager tourists in winter coats and scarves took in the sights. Jacob stared down at his tablet and then made his way out to Starbucks and down the road to collect Rachel's order. Yes, Rachel Rubenstein Goldblatt, his first love, the girl who broke his heart, challenged him. She forced him out of his comfort zone, leaving him to question all his fiercely held beliefs. He loved that about her, and now for the first time since that fateful summer at Camp Ahava, he was relying on her. And Jacob offered up a silent prayer to the heavens and hoped that she would not let him down. 10th email from Lisa Brown to Rachel Rubenstein Goldblatt. Sunday, December 19th. Contract coming. Hey, Rachel. Just got off the phone with Chandra again. Any ETA when you can sign that contract for the Hanukkah Grinch? Chandra is just super eager to get all of this on production schedule. We're kind of curious what the holdup is. Lisa, P.S. You're not hesitating, are you? Yes, she is a little Alexi darling. It's true. It's true. All right. Well, things are taking a turn here in Manhattan. I was going to say in Hanukkah land, but truly it's just Manhattan. All right. I'm going to scooch. I got to go to the farmer's market and get to work and go to the post office. So I will see you all later. I hope you have, I know it's so great. It's a very good book. It's very good. And I love all the characters. I will get this uploaded and I will see you all later. I might be on live to make slime later. I'm not sure, but I will let you all know if I am. I know it doesn't feel like a Saturday at all. I forgot that it was Saturday until I woke up and it was. And I was like, oh, my birthday lands on a Sunday. That's kind of a bummer because it's like, I don't know, whatever. Like, I guess we have, I don't know. Anyway, I'll see you all later and more reading will ensue. We are about 67% through the book, in case anyone's keeping up with that. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I only looked at my phone this morning and I was like, oh, it's Saturday. I gotta go to the farmer's market. But I will see you all later.